Have you ever found yourself scrolling through an app or looking at a cool website and just wondering, how does that actually work? Well, if you've ever wanted to peek behind the curtain and maybe even build something yourself, you're in the right place. Today, we're taking that first exciting step into coding with a language that's perfect for beginners, Python.
But first, let's start with a little riddle. What could a space agency that's literally charting the cosmos and a streaming service that's just trying to figure out what show you're going to binge watch next, what could they possibly have in common? It seems totally random, right? Well, stick with me, because the answer is everything.
All right, let's meet our hero for today, Python. And I really want you to think of it less like scary, complicated code and more like a new language you're learning. Honestly, it's kind of like getting a new superpower, the power to talk to computers and get them to do amazing things for you.
So that brings us to the big question, right? When people say Python, what are they actually talking about?
Okay, here's the official sounding definition. But don't let words like high level or general purpose throw you off. They're actually the best parts. High level just means it was designed for us, for humans. It's way easier to read and write because it looks a lot more like plain English than a bunch of ones and zeros. And general purpose? That just means you can use it to build almost anything you can dream up. A website, a game, a robot, you name it.
So yeah, that's the what, but let's be real. The most exciting part is the where. So now let's dive into where Python actually shows up in the real world and what kind of cool stuff you can do with it.
And that brings us right back to that riddle about NASA and Netflix. The answer? They both run on Python. It's true. From calculating a rocket's path to the moon to figuring out you're in the mood for a comedy, Python is the powerhouse working quietly in the background. Pretty wild, right?
And its playground is just massive. For websites, Python is often the engine that makes everything on the server side just work. In the world of AI and machine learning, oh man, it's the undisputed king. It helps create those smart systems we hear about all the time. For data science, it's like a superpowered magnifying glass, finding patterns in huge amounts of information. And for automation, it's your personal assistant, taking care of all the boring, repetitive tasks on your computer. It really does it all. Let's get really specific. You ever wonder how Netflix just knows? How it knows you'd be into that random documentary? Yep, that's Python in the background, analyzing viewing habits to make that spooky good recommendation. And we're not just talking about niche applications. Google, just one of the biggest companies on the planet, uses Python for, well, pretty much everything, from its core search engine to running parts of YouTube. So this isn't just some hobbyist language. This is a language that literally powers the internet as we know it. And it's the exact same story over at Spotify. That Discover Weekly playlist that feels like your best friend made it for you, that's Python again, crunching the numbers on your listening habits to introduce you to your next favorite band.
Okay, are you feeling inspired yet? You've seen what Python can do. Now let's talk about how you can start doing it. It's time to roll up our sleeves, set up your workspace, and get the actual tools you need to start building.
And you know what? It's way easier than you think. It's really just two simple steps, and they're both totally free. First, you need the language itself. That's called the interpreter. You grab it from the official site, python.org. Second, you just need a place to write your code. It's called a code editor. And a really popular one that's awesome for beginners is VS Code. Here's a super simple way to think about it. The Python interpreter you installed, that's the engine. It's the part that actually understands your commands and makes things happen. And your code editor, like VS Code, that's just the notebook where you write down the instructions for the engine. See? You need both, but they each have a simple job. Okay, tools are installed, workspace is ready. This is it. This is the moment. What we're about to do is a rite of passage for every single programmer out there. This is the moment you stop being someone who's just learning about code and you become someone who actually writes it. Behold, this right here is one of the most famous lines in the entire tech world. It's your very first program. And just look at it. It's simple, it's clean, and it perfectly shows off why people love Python so much.
When you type this and hit run, you're not just executing a command. You're doing something kind of profound. You're having your very first real conversation with your computer. You're speaking its language, and it's going to understand you and talk back.
So how does this magic work? It's so simple. You're going to love it. Print is just a command. It's the verb. You're literally telling the computer, hey, print something to the screen. And the stuff in the parentheses and quotes, the hello world part, well, that's just the exact thing you wanted to say. That's it. No, really, that's the whole thing. And just like that, you did it.
Congratulations! You have officially written and run your very first computer program. You're a coder now. Seriously, take a second and let that sink in. That's a huge step.
So you've started the conversation, you've taught the computer how to speak. The only real question left is, now that you have its attention, what are you going to ask it to build next?